Hello.
Hi.
Whew, it's been a long week.
It has feels again like a lifetime.
Yeah,
Really
where have
does.
you been?
Mm.
How have you been? Where have you been traversing?
Next question, please.
Doom, a little bit of dip, a big dip.
No, yeah, it's been a ride. It's been a ride, but also like anybody else feeling just whipped around by this last few weeks of the year of the snake, you know? It's a revelationary time. It takes no prisoners. It doesn't allow us to sit in the denial or spiritually bypassing or ignorance, or holding these old patterns and traits. And sometimes, unfortunately, the ways that they are broken, if we don't consciously choose to acknowledge and address and see them and seek them out, which no human can do all the time for everything, then we are forced to look at them from a different perspective and we're kind of forced to look at them. And yeah, I've definitely been whipped with that experience over the weekend. And I've just been sitting with it because, like I said, before we jumped on, I was really struggling with the concept of feeling like things were improving and expanding and gaining a sense of like leveling up, if you will, in like human terms, feeling more stable, more connected, more flowing, more everything in more abundance in all aspects of life, spirituality included. And then having a dip, as we've called it, just really kind of made me feel like, I guess my biggest question is always why? Why? Why this? Why this time? Why this? Why now? And yeah, I have still asked that question, even though part of it, I guess, is to control when you're asking that question. It's to understand it, to process it, to prevent yourself from feeling any forms of unsafety and unknown in the future. And I totally get that. I see that pattern playing out. But also, I don't think there's anything wrong sometimes just to inquire. I wonder what the meaning of that meant. I wonder what the representation, I wonder if this could have been connected to it. We're probably never going to get a factual based answer. So, what's the harm in wondering? What's the harm in inquiring and thinking and questioning things out loud? Like, I think sometimes that's what allows us to make dots connected that maybe we wouldn't have done if we didn't just throw some ideas out there, anyways, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, dips are naturally going to happen everywhere in our humanity and just in everyday reality. What would you, I mean, at least for me in a dip, when I'm in a dip, it could be um something not working out like I thought it would, something coming out of the sideline that I didn't expect at all, being in a really deep space for a good period of time, integrating something that I might not know the answer to right off the bat, but I'm in it.
Mhm.
What about you? What are your dips or definition?
Um, I guess for me, a lot of it is connected to like, sorry, excuse the dog, she's barking in the background. It feels a lot more like, having to deal with the unexpected turmoil is a big one for me because a huge part of my nervous system thing is safety. And if I'm then getting to a place where, oh, okay, this feels safe, this feels, whether it's financially, whether it's physically, whether it's health wise, whether it's emotionally, whether it's mood wise, or new house and feeling physically more stable and safe, like whatever it is at that time, if I feel like I'm getting to a place where, oh, this is improving, this is feeling more safe, this is feeling more aligned and flowing. And then something happens that's not on that pathway, as I would say it, or not what I would have perceived to be on that pathway. So I would have not have called that in if it was by choice, for
Right.
example. So that's what I would like perceive as a dip. It's like either a health, mental, physical, financial, physical obstacle thing that dips something. And for me, it then takes a lot of time and either finances or things to then have to repair that. So, like, I'm getting to a place where everything's building, and I have then the spare time, the energy, the extras to put into other things, pouring into cups in me. And then something happens that takes all of that ability to do that away. And it just feels really frustrating because it's like
Yeah.
you feel like, snakes and ladders. You feel like you're getting there, you're getting really well, and then you're back down to that space. But as I said earlier, part of me doesn't feel like it's going back down anywhere. It feels like sometimes, even though we don't perceive it as that, it could be a redirection. And that can sometimes be an inconvenience, annoying, frustrating, all the
All
stressful
the things
things,
expensive.
yeah, expensive, all the things of inconvenience, but we still could be a redirection rather than a punishment.
Right, right.
Mm.
Um, I spaced it for a second. I was like, I was there, and then I left for a second.
That's me most days. I use the threads. I'm like, come back, thread, where have you gone?
Oh.
But yeah, it is. I guess the concept of it for me is what is the dip? Is figuring out. I think my brain also needs to release the expectation that just because things are in alignment, shit's not going to happen. Like, I guess my nervous system was so used to living in manic fight or flight and survival mode that for a long time I created that around me to survive because that's all I knew and that was familiar. And then my nervous system got used to a new sense of peace and now hates any form of disruption to routine or chaos or emotional turmoil or inconvenience and stress and expense. Like, it's overwhelming for me, and I find that so dysregulating rather than the peace being unfamiliar. The chaos is now unfamiliar, which in essence is a good thing because my nervous system shifted from one familiarity to a more healthy one. But still, also, I struggle with when the dips come to navigate, like, how do I deal with this without feeling thrown off the track completely?
Totally. Yeah, yeah. I felt that a lot this last week too. Not that I've
Mm.
necessarily like um had a big deep dive into it or questioned it a lot. It's just a feeling that I had. I'm like, oh, this is whatever we're entering into or the space we're at currently is making me feel very unknown about the space. The dips are, I wouldn't even say so many dips. I would say like there's a bunch of little ones all at once for me that have like popped.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, and then my nervous system is like, oh well, I'm gonna keep the stability right here, and also know that I was in that chaotic phase, wanting to be addicted to it because that was my safety, right? So stepping
Yeah,
outside of that and watching like these little dips around the block and watch my nervous system go, hey, look, that's really cool that I'm not in that anymore. I have a more sense of safety running through there, but also like just a wildly unknown piece.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. And that unknown, for me, I'm still working on that too. Like, no matter how safe I tell myself I am, unfortunately, that one, I'm still, because, right, like, I've been doing a lot of work lately. I think I mentioned it a little bit last time on subconscious coding in the conscious mind. So
right.
reparenting, recoding in the conscious mind. I am developing a workshop day on this for anyone that is in the UK. It will be in like June, July time. So I'll let you know about that later on. But anyways, I'm navigating, I've been navigating how to consciously, subconsciously in the conscious mind, like working with both, because for me, if I'm doing it on a customer or a person else, I am having to kind of send them into not guide them into a subconscious hypnotic state. Send them. I don't know where I'm putting
Said
it.
y'all, right?
On your way, man, on your way. No, obviously. I'm a lot more gentle in my sessions, just to let you all know. But yeah, usually it's a subconscious process of, going deep into the subconscious mind, feeling safe, bringing through all the different aspects, reparenting, healing, recoding. And I absolutely love doing that. But I struggle to do that on myself. Like, I find it hard to send myself, I like that word today, send myself to a deeper state of consciousness in a conscious mind and go on this whole journey of like reparenting and reprogramming and recoding, doing it myself. I struggle with that. And I'll openly admit that I've always struggled with. That's why I feel like sometimes I get the imposter syndrome because I can do fantastic work on others, but struggle to actually implement the same level and magnitude of frequency in my own internal self because I struggle to access them frequency on a conscious level. Anyways, so I've kind of developed a little process that I've been learning and expanding. I'm doing you. I'm going spacing wherever I'm.
It's
I'm
happening.
going. It's happening. Oh yeah, okay. And so I've been trying to think about, how we're consciously creating these things, how we're consciously creating everything around us. We hear that all the time. You create your reality. Okay, yeah, we know that. You know, you can manifest your reality, you can create your dream life. And yet I look around and I think, yeah, well, if that were true, then wouldn't we all be living it, you know, like wouldn't we all be actually doing it, living
Yeah.
it? And like, and I'm not saying it's not true. Obviously, a deep part of me does believe and know that in my soul that that's true. However, again, I struggle to live it because I feel like, well, I'm doing all the things, you know, working on all the blocks, the I ams, the affirmations, the traumas, the self-worth, the confidence, the vocalization, the visualizations, the writing it down, the kind of solid liquid gas effect on it and creating it into the physical densification. And I got straight back to where I was going there, like looped round. And at this point on Friday, when I had my big dip on Friday evening, I'd had the most wonderful week and like deeply activating evening prior to this dip. And I'd felt like on top of that mountain you are, Z, behind you. I was like, yes, this is it. I'm at the zone. I've got like, I just felt like so empowered and so connected and so I felt supported. I had some lovely girls. I was working with Claire and Monique and we was brainstorming these new ideas and I did it on them, they did it on me and we was having revelations, awakenings, we was crying, we was laughing. It was wonderful. One of the best evenings out there, you know. Wonderful time. And then this crash came down and I'm like, okay, so why? You know, like
Yeah.
why do we have to experience this peak that comes with this. And it really kind of hurt my heart a little bit. And my inner child got really upset because I was like, do I not get to experience them joys without fearing that there's going to be a drop instantly after it, you know? And I guess that's just kind of a concept I wanted to sit with and bring up with you. Like, is that me kind of having too much expectation that everything is going to stay? Or should be majority lit on a higher timeline. And then me being a bit shocked when it all comes crashing down. I'm like, what? Is that normal? Should we be doing that? Or should we kind of have a little bit less expectation for it to be on that higher frequency more often and maybe be prepared in his nervous system a little bit more for the up and downs and the fluctuations? Like, what's your perspective on that?
There's so many different perspectives on this piece and working through it, and like some of those interpretations of like you need to go through these phases in order to get you to this point, right? I
Yeah.
find that there is a very wide spectrum of it is like a little bouncy spectrum, right? I feel expanded right here. There's your expansion piece. And then I feel like once my body, nervous system, energy, soul, however it is that it turns out to be in that particular point in time, expands to a particular frequency of a sort, then there's a natural contraction to it. And that
Yeah.
could be something like that comes in. It could be your body goes into, oh, now I'm having to reshift this. I have an identity that left. Um, it's in this little bit of a lull right now, attracting a few things that aren't really necessarily what it wants or even what it needs, but it's
Mm.
separating the two pieces apart.
Yeah. Great answer. Great answer. And also, you sparked a thought in me like, what how much let me get the words. Still not got them. Okay, the subconscious mind, how much power has that got over the decisions that we're making without even realizing? How much power does it have dictating over the manifestations? Like, there's so many things I've kind of unraveled in these past couple of weeks on how my subconscious mind is running the show. My
Definitely.
subconscious mind is the one creating my reality. The subconscious mind is the one manifesting truly, not the conscious
Right.
mind, not the intentions, not the frequency, not the heart space. All
Yep.
of that is a part of it. It's a part of it and it's valid. Like, I'm not saying don't do them things, keep fucking doing them things, but there's a reason why we're not quite there yet. You
Sure.
know, there's a reason why there's only like 1% of the people that actually, and this again, struggling with the words, that teach it and practice, that are actually living in that true, full practicing what they're preaching, you know. And I'm not saying we shouldn't all be sharing knowledge. We should. I am also involved in that. I can give expansions and knowledge and wisdom on things that I need expansion and wisdom and knowledge on, and yet I'm still not quite there in my life, but I could potentially help somebody else get there. And I could see that totally because it's my own internal reflectional blocks, and it's my own internal subconscious limitations and cage, I guess, that it's in. That no matter how much of this healing, grounding, releasing, connecting, reconnecting, all these layers that I'm doing,
Right.
if I am not intentionally doing the deep reconnection through the conscious and subconscious mind, then I am really like hitting a rock and a hard place, you know?
Yeah, no, no, I hear that. I think that's a very deep place to be in. I
Mm.
know with me working in the vault and doing the game changers, uh,
Yeah.
I wasn't putting anything out there that I wasn't deeply immersed in, or I wasn't doing.
Yeah.
And that even means now, like I'm going back to refine and still building certain aspects of it, and there has to be pauses there because I'm like, oh, I'm in it. This is a process that I'm pulling apart. I will not bring that forward until I've moved it through my body and I know what that is
Yeah,
as
I
I
hear
speak
that.
it, as I walk it. But I got to tell you, that is definitely a process of walking your talk, and it takes time and it takes a step back because I hit a subconscious piece in my body and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, look. Look at how
Yeah.
deep that was. And I know that is working in my reality and doing all the creation portions of it too, but if I don't take a step back to take a look at it, whatever that might be, and then fully work through the process through my body, start to embody it, not perfectly, because there'll be other steps, there'll be other mountains, walking through it, and then
Mhm.
bring it out to the world, as in not in like having wisdom, in a way that I'm just going to project information, of what I think I know or I've heard. Mine is very experiential, and it takes me a long time, even days and days on the mountain, to just make sure that I'm refined in myself to make a move with it, you know?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, and like you say, it's like a true reflection. And I guess it's that dance between, like I can, like I said earlier, I can give it incredible advice sometimes and incredible reflections.
Sure.
And yet when I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, "Oh, shit, really, you should be doing this and embodying this and like integrating this." And I guess sometimes I believe that's why I've been brought that message. It was like a reminder to both. And I definitely have been in times where something's been brought to me and I've been given this great deep wisdom as I do. And then I've really had to sit there like, actually, I think I needed to hear that really well as well. Like I needed to hear
Or,
that on a
yep.
soul level too. And some of the times I lead people through experiences and journeys and, meditations, I'm like, wow, I really needed to do that. I really needed to see that. I really needed to hear that. And yeah, I think that's like you say, part of living it real time, part of doing it in real time is sometimes acknowledging that when you're offering that space and offering them reflections, that sometimes you're also going to get them reflections too, because you're just space holders. We're just holding the space, the frequency of the space, and that allows frequency to come to go. And whoever resonates with that is going to resonate with that, including those holding the space. And so, yeah, I really loved what you said about that and like that time you take. For me, I guess it is I have to so like these past few weeks as I've been developing this new protocol, if you will, I don't really know what to call it. It's like a new process. Um, I do get a bit obsessive. I get really obsessive. Like I'm a bit of an obsessive person. I get like jump into it and stick into it and spend a while there. And yeah, I've spent a few times on myself, connecting. But then I find myself, I get to a point where, because we facilitate for others, I feel like I have to now facilitate this on others. And that's it. Like I get to a certain point where, right, I've done mine, I've done it on me, and I know how to do that. But now
Yep.
I need to know what this looks like, holding space for others doing this. And so it's great having a group of circle of people that you can call upon for different things. And called upon the lovely ladies on Friday and really was able to see how this process can be laid out and facilitated for others, and also how they could facilitate it for me without all of the years of experience and training. It is very simple if you know the right techniques and tools. And I think that's what's such a shame. We've been deprived of this information so that when we do get these dips and these big things we experience, it feels like the world's crashing down on us because we don't have the tools, because we don't have the skills and the emotional regulation and the equipment that we should have been given as human beings, spiritual beings living a human experience, to know how to handle them dips with more ease and trust and flow. Like if we had these tools from the beginning, I don't think we'd have that trauma response of pure panic and fear when the dips happen.
We'd certainly be in a different place.
Mhm. Exactly,
I mean, and
exactly.
also that was a part of the process of the experience. So I
Mm.
I get I
True,
get the
true.
portion, yep, I get the portions of it and where we're at right now. And I'm grateful that we have the capability of understanding the difference between the chaos and the peace that's coming into play. At least that's been really huge for me and being able to separate the two. And also knowing too that when when you go into a dip, everybody, that it's okay to go into the dip because we all go into the dip, whatever the subconscious is bringing up, or even if it's just the body going through something. Sometimes I go in without judging it because obviously I don't know where it's coming from right off the bat. Um,
Yeah.
uh, just to know that there are tools out there. There are many ways to move through it, and again, you're not alone in it. That's something that I absolutely loved to hear when I was moving through some of these processes. That like I'm not alone in it. There's lots of things out there that could possibly help, and there's more tools coming out between me and Anya who are creating tools for those types of dips and places into
Mhm.
understanding really your own internal clarity and bringing you
Yeah.
to a place of walking your own path in that way. And that's my favorite part of doing this work is when people move into that spot where their nervous system just gets a little bit calmer and that information comes in and then take a step into a direction that feels more expansive to them.
Yeah. 100%. And it is a beautiful experience to kind of work through that dance, and like you say, help create a safe place because how many things have been unraveling over the past few weeks. Every time it comes up and I'm sitting with it and doing this new process, what's been coming up is safety 99% of the time. And
Sure.
in so many different ways, like it's not just, oh, right now I need to just reparent this version of me and they all need to know the safe. Like, yeah, probably that'd be great. But there's so many different nuances of safety, of
Right.
abandonment, of feeling isolated, of feeling unable to communicate, of whatever the heck it is. There's a whole range of different levels and nuances of safety that are peeping up and working through. And I guess that is just something that when we're doing this game, when we're doing this, it is a game, isn't it, I suppose, but when we're doing this, this experience, it is questioning us in a self, like, where can we anchor in safety, first of all?
Sure.
And where can we reflect and look at the things in our subconscious mind where we might be creating this, even though you really think that maybe we won't be?
Right.
Where may there be a reflection where you might be and where you might be calling that in? And also maybe a question for us to share with people, as you were mentioning, what are some examples that we could maybe offer for some small tools and techniques that people could start implementing now if they, are not drawn to booking a session or can't afford it or whatever? What would be a good maybe recommendation that's coming up for you to help people deal with these dips and help them anchor into a different frequency as they're going through it?
Sure. I would say the first thing is understanding what your body's safety is. What
Mm.
helps it to get back to regulation. It could be
Mm.
like a squishy toy or a stuffed animal or a song. That would be just permission, full permission to get yourself into a space of going, okay, this going to work for me or is this going to work for me? Because when I'm out and about or in a store that's really loud or I'm all of a sudden dysregulated, what can I give my body? What does my body need in the moment? Because sometimes
Yeah.
that's not what we think it needs. I've noticed that quite intensely while I've been working through my program in the Vault, which is like the body's like, hey, I'm actually needing this, but your mind is like, I'm gonna go over here, and they're in opposition to each other, right?
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
and that subconscious is coming up with other habits and programs, and the body isn't able to correlate and head back to safety. So what is your safety? What does your body actually need? Not your mind, but your body, your physical body's needs, because it's looking for safety. That's how it gets its clarity.
Great, great advice. Absolutely great advice. And I think that is what's so important is sometimes not always leading from the mind. Like we always hear, listen to the heart, follow the heart, which is also hugely important. But I think sometimes listening to the body, like
Yep.
what is your body asking for right now? I've been attempting to do that a lot more at the moment, communicating with the inner child. But also like there's times where it had been like now, or now it's my time to get stuff done or be productive or, like enjoy the free time and do bits and bobs, work out, whatever. And my body's just like, actually, I really just want to lay and do nothing. And my mind's like really disappointed. I'm like, really? We're going to waste this free time on laying there doing nothing. And then I might end up watching some videos on my phone and I end up absolutely laughing and just feeling like, maybe I actually did just need to lay there and watch shit videos on my phone. Like, not very often I ever do that. If I'm on my device, I'm creating something or talking to someone, I don't really sit there procrastinating on my devices because I'm a bit of a hyper punishment for like laziness in myself. I'm like, no, you always have to be productive. So I don't really allow myself to do that much. And also, I like to be present with the kids. So, it's not often. And I really did just enjoy nothing, doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing, no purpose, no pressure, no responsibility, absolutely nothing. And like I said, very rare. But I listened to my body and I honored it, even though my mind was like, you should be cleaning, you should be working, you should be doing this, you should be planning this, you should be doing this. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do this right now because this is what my body is asking for.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's my mind's been doing that today. So I'm like, body,
Yeah.
my body's like, I am not in a push or force situation right now. I need some ease in there. And I always watch for that and always make sure that the body has the ability to speak through that because whatever it's interpreting, whatever it's receiving information wise, however it's looking at the world, its reality, it takes time to make changes. It takes time for energetic information to come in. And once it's integrating, at least for mine, like I feel a little bit foggy today because I'm on an integration day and I know it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
but I have to take the space and time that I need, which means after this, I'll probably go take a nap, make sure that my body's hydrated. And that means the
Hmm.
next day, tomorrow, most likely I'm going to be really in creation mode. I'm going to have all the energy to it,
Yeah.
giving myself that time and space, right?
And the more that you do, you do listen to it, the more flow happens and the more creation. And I guess sometimes on the other floor, though, on the other hand, sometimes my body can get into a habit of, okay, now we're not doing anything. Well, now we're allowed to not do anything at all. And then I like just switch off from like
Yep.
everything and anything. But that can be a little bit self-sabotaging for me because it can create a lot of stress and a lot of catch up and a lot of burnout trying to like
Totally.
catch up from that trek out. And sometimes I notice I think that part of my body not wanting to do anything at all is because I didn't listen before, because I didn't rest when it was speaking to me, and because I didn't slow down, because I didn't just give it little snippets of like rejuvenation. I think my body just goes no more for like 3 days. And then I just crash out and I just
Yep.
can't do anything. And I'm like, really? And then I have 3 days worth of cleaning, cooking, like everything, to catch up on. And that's what I'm experiencing lately. I'm finding that my avoidance, I have a deep dislike of being a 3D human. I cannot stand phone calls, appointments, anything human. Like I just can't. I just no. I need like a life PA that helps me with that stuff because no, it sends my little ADHD autistic brain over the edge. And I guess I've just avoided things for so long that now it really caught me back in the really not good ways. And so I'm having to learn this balance, and this is why I brought this up because I listen to my body on that ish and saying like, oh, I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it because it's stressful. It overwhelms me. I don't want to do it. So when I feel that stress and that overwhelm, I think, oh, avoid that. Don't do that. I'll do that later. And I guess I did that so many times that then now it's created an extreme amount of stress from doing that. And so not always the best. And like there's a line, there's a balance, there's a fine line, and making sure that your body's not then screaming because you didn't listen in the first place. And that's why you're in this cycle, which is what happened to me a lot. So I've had to really learn the subtle whispers, the subtle aches, the subtle like moments of communication when your body's like, oh, and then they are the little requests, and the more you ignore the requests, the louder the requests become, and then the more catastrophe that is created from that fallout. So yeah, I guess that's been my little reflection, is to listen sooner and yeah, implement the tools like what you mentioned. The great one is to work from a regulated place. Like you're not going to be getting anywhere if you don't feel safe. So I think that's kind of the main advice for all of this, is to anchor in what makes you feel safe. And like you said, that might change. It might look like different things. It might be music one day, it might be food the other day, it might be nature another day, it might be holding yourself and telling yourself you're safe, talking out loud, you know. There's many different little techniques you can use, and you might feel a bit stupid and silly, but it's going to work, so you might as well try it, you know. So harm in giving it a go. You're on your
Exactly.
own, you know, you might as well
Get
just
weird. You do your thing. There's the amount of stuff that I do if I'm out and about to regulate myself or move energy is a whole nother story, especially since I'm like way over a hyperspatial awareness. I've got
Mhm.
the synesthesia that's totally to the top, so I'm constantly like interacting with these things.
feel
Sometimes
that.
like dancing in certain places because my body's moving in energy, or it's just I have the squishies with me, or
Yeah.
whatever my body feels like it needs. And when it goes through those spaces like you just talked about, because I've worked my body through that piece too, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm just not going to do it now. Because
Hmm.
not do
Hmm.
it anyways. That's the deeper subconscious. And now I know like when my body's like resistance to something versus like I'm exhausted, I cannot push further than this piece.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a great point. Like figuring out, is it this a resistance? Is this a block? Is
Yep.
this a avoidance of wanting to expand out of fear, and you know, all the things. Like, is this a fear-based reaction out of past experiences, or is this genuinely just like, I'll deal with this later? Because for me, it was all of the above and not the last option, you know. So I really needed to hear that more, and I've learned that lesson deeply at the moment, and I'm learning lessons that I've been working through for years, but I'm like deeply learning them now, like integrating them. I'm embodying them. I'm truly embodying them into my human system. And I've kind of had, I won't say judgment because I really don't think that's the right word, and it wasn't malicious. But I feel like sometimes in the spiritual community, when I try and share my connections and my revelations, my awakenings. Like sometimes I feel like there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of like, oh,
Or
you're not already doing that, or like, and I'm like, but if you were already doing that, wouldn't you be in the places where you want to be? And I guess that's sometimes that, you know, just, and there's no shade there, no shade at all love here. But yeah, I guess the reflections I experienced made me feel a bit not great. And then I was sat with it and I was like, actually, I don't think that's true for me, because if your reflection was coming from a place of true authenticity, then you would also be living in that authenticity. And I don't perceive that to be the truest experience right now. And so, yeah, I guess I kind of sat with it and thought, no, okay, I'm happy to figure out what's going on in my lane. And, you know, I guess I just don't like sometimes the whole judgment of separation, of better than, more worthy, or more spiritually evolved, or more 5D and 3D. The words really annoy me. Like it really irritates me, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Oh, I raised my hand.
You raise your hand there.
Hello, girl. She's over here now.
How you
She's
doing?
no, so yeah, I just wanted to add that in because I think it's part of the dip, you know. That was definitely a mini dip for me. I was on a real high and then was sharing, and I just felt a little bit like, oh, maybe it wasn't exciting and as good as I thought it was. And then I sat with it, I was like, no, girl, it is exactly what you thought it was. Just
Yep.
other people's reflections sometimes. That was a lesson too. Don't let that affect you as much as you are. You know, there's all sorts of things that I think are popping up. This year of the snake
Yep. Yep.
is finishing with a bang. It's not
Yep.
going out with an ease. There's a lot of fireworks going on right now, so just kind of strap in as much as you can. That's
Yeah.
all I'm going to say.
And just take it slow. Take it slow. Be easeful for it. With it. I mean, my words, I'm
Yeah.
like, my body,
Yeah,
I'm
that was me
like,
earlier on, literally. And get outside. Like, I've been outside every day, even, and it's freezing here, even just for like 30, 40 minutes. Just, I've been sat outside and I've been doing my daily journaling outside, and the kids have been playing outside in all the snowsuits and gear. But it's
yeah,
really been really just, oh, earthing. Like, I think I just need grounding right now. I think a lot of us need grounding through this.
for sure.
It's a whole ride of energy. So yeah, just a little bit of outside time. That would be kind of my main tip, I guess, at this funky energy. And like Z said, knowing you're not alone, knowing this is not a you thing. This is a you thing because we're all a you thing, but this is not just you. We're all experiencing our own trials, tribulations, lessons, expansions. And I loved what you said earlier, Z. Sometimes to expand fully, we have to do a deep clean, and this is a deep clean of the things that need to be gone to be able to grow.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Hmm.
And I just want to go back and say thank you for what you said about your experience and the meeting up with spirituality and that kind of
Mm.
feeling like an equal place. That's a place that I don't play in either. I have in the past, and I had to find my
Me
way.
too. Me too. Me too.
Oh,
Oh,
where I'm
I'm
like,
multi-D. Yeah, me too. I've been there.
um, or other levels, or even just expressing myself and having that feel like I've been pedestalized when I'm like, but
Yeah,
on the
yeah, me
inside
too.
of it, this is what happened in my experience. I'm gonna get really real with you. Been really low, you know. So,
Mm.
I just want everybody to know that that's a real thing, and to trust and validate your own self and your own intuition, and also know that there's others that are out and about who will probably be more in your lane of what you feel and express. If something doesn't work for you, you have your choice to deny that.
Right?
So,
Yeah, and that's a very valid point, Z, because I think I was searching for years for spiritually minded people for a long, long time.
yeah,
And I
absolutely.
found them. Found them. There was great knowledge, great wisdom, some great people. But I have recently connected with people that would be perceived as more 3D. Let me just put it in a human term. I would not say that in my opinion, but by spiritual people, they're not trained spiritualists. They've not spent years doing all this stuff, like they're very normalish people. They're not normal, but you know what I'm saying. They come from normalish experiences. And yet I have been able to have space held for me like I've never experienced before. I have had deeper conversations than I've had with spiritual people. I've had expansive ceremonies because we all feel safe and connected.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God, I've just had the most revelationary experiences from people that would be perceived in the spiritual community as more 3D
Yeah.
and don't know as much. And yet, I don't perceive that to be true from what I've experienced. And again, I think that's worth saying. Like sometimes either having that mindset or having people have that mindset of you, it's not necessarily true. And don't allow that to become true because of other people's perspectives. I started this world very young. I'm only 28 now and I've been in it 10 years. So, you know, I get it. It's sometimes people think that, oh, you haven't got the knowledge and the wisdom. I was judged all the time on that. There was literally times where people would walk the other way because I was the youngest reader there and they didn't want me. Fine. I had to sit with all sorts of stuff. But I've
Wow.
learned in time that you know what? That doesn't equate to who you are. This time that you've spent this knowledge, like I understand skills are very valuable, but you can learn so much in a short amount of time, especially in this nature of work. There is no time limit on how fast you can integrate and expand on this information. And the last final note I'll say on that is there is a lot of people I have noticed and witnessed in the community of spirituality, which know fantastic wisdom, unbelievable, unfathomable, will never take that away from them, but are not always integrating and embodying the deep shadow work. They're not always sitting with them deep emotions, and I feel sometimes it's a bit spiritually bypassing the fears, the triggers, the emotions because it's uncomfortable and it's unfamiliar and it's safer to stay in a stable, mediocre place rather than actually looking into the darkness and the shadows. And I think that's sometimes why I don't resonate because I sit in the shadows, I have deep ups and deep downs and deep, deep, deep downs. And not always people in the spiritual community resonate because they give this image of everything's peace, love, and light and rainbows. And it ain't peace and love and light and rainbows all the time over here. I have moments, but then the next minute there's whole craziness going on, and I'm happy to embody that. And I feel that sometimes that's not always acknowledged by a lot of people in the community. And I think that that's not a true reflection of life. So I just wanted to add that in before we finish because it's important that you don't get a misconception of what healing looks like. There will be dips, as we've said, and they are rough sometimes, but it's having the tools to be able to respond in a more healed approach.
Absolutely. And I have to say for myself, I'm a very contrasted soul being.
Mm,
I carry
exactly.
any of those perspectives all at once, the dark, the middle range, and the high. And I don't co-align with a lot of those perspectives now, which is why we're doing what we're doing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not that I won't connect in certain ways. I love and respect them,
Yeah.
community, and I did a lot of my work very deeply shamanically with Native Americans, which I deeply
Oh,
respect.
yeah, and that's wonderful. Beautiful. Yeah.
And stepping out of those spaces, understanding myself a lot more in the space, I would rather be in a place where I feel very safe and I can demask and the people around me can feel the same way. I don't care if you're enlightened. I don't care if you've ascended 5 times. I don't care.
Me
If I
neither.
can
Me
feel
neither.
if I can feel like I'm equal to you, we can co-create together
Yes.
and you're being real and you're taking all that off and you're being vulnerable. Like I would love to connect.
Yeah. It's a vibe thing. It's not
Totally.
about the words coming out of your mouth. It's about the energy that you're emitting and the frequency that I'm receiving. And that's when I decide if we're vibing or not. You know,
Yep.
you can know all the knowledge in the world, but if we ain't on a vibe, we ain't on a vibe. That's
Yeah.
how it goes. You know.
And especially with knowledge, there's so much knowledge out there. And it's like for me now, it's like the thing that I care about is that I'm in my body and I'm working the process that I'm perceiving. So I'm not just intaking a bunch of information and trying to live my life that way. I want to see what's inside me internally.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Totally, totally agree with that. And I guess it brings us to a good kind of final note there of
Yeah.
what advice would we give to someone that maybe feels like they're doing really well and then they have a big dip and they think, oh my God, I've gone backwards. Oh my God, I've failed. None of it's real. Da, da, da. Because listen, we've all been there. We've all had them moments of lack of trust and questioning everything and like, why would this happen to me when I'm doing all this work and I'm getting so far? Like, I have them moments. Even now, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, why are we experiencing this at this level? And I really sit with that. So, I'll share my reflection after you share yours because I just wanted to see what was coming up for you. What do you think on that?
I mean, I've experienced this plenty of times, and I work with a lot of people who, and this has been really thick this week actually. So,
Yeah, I
where
get that.
it's like I've expanded, and then it like just has that boom, and there's disappointment in there. There's internal constructs that come up, belief systems that pop up, and really, what I want to say to that is to normalize it because it is normal to have that happen. You're
Yeah,
human. Thank you.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
a very real
exactly.
experience. I don't believe you're ever going back to the same place. That's really not how time works down here. I mean, where our cells are decaying at a certain rate. So we're never going back to the exact same place. And I'm a very nonlinear thinker and energetically as well. And it is always in its own timing and it's always spiraling. And to say that I've even gone back um, is going to come from deeply rooted spaces of shame, judgment,
Yeah,
being pushed or forced into certain things. So what I say with that is anytime you have those contractions, sit with it for a second, realize that you're not alone in it. Give yourself a moment because most likely you've integrated something really big and your body's trying to integrate it and it's not exactly sure what to do with that yet. But just to tell yourself, hey, this is real. Doesn't mean I'm going backwards. Something else that's happening here might be that you just need to rest for a little bit and then it
hmm
starts to integrate itself. But not going back. I want to say every time I go back to one of those spaces, like a little yo-yo, my next expansion step and my next building block is right there, right?
yeah.
So my body's
And I feel that. I feel that.
yeah.
That has struck this weekend for me, but I do feel like the disaster was a diversion, and it can be perceived in many ways. And I think sometimes you have to look at life and go, do you know what? I don't know why that happened. And it's pretty annoying and frustrating. However, I have to trust. I have to trust it has purpose, meaning, direction, higher meaning than what I can see. And I'm sitting in that. And I think for the first time, my nervous system is responding pretty well. I had a day of rest on the weekend to kind of just process everything. And, I'm still kind of integrating, but I feel productive. I feel able to deal with it and calm and stable.
Nice.
And I'm really focusing on just out of anything this year. I think I shared this in the earlier videos. I wrote 11 things down, 12 things down for this year that I want to create, and I burnt 11. And one was left for me to focus on, the rest was left for the universe to focus on. The one thing that was left for me out of all the things, and there was loads of physical things on there, house and career and all the things. And the one thing that was left for me was regulate your nervous system more. And so I knew that because I was working on it anyways, but I didn't know that was going to be the only focus that I was meant to spend all my energy on this year,
Right.
majority. And so I've really been finding all the ways to just slow down. And I don't just mean physically slow down, I mean like literally talk to yourself out loud. That's my little challenge I'll set for you because we're now in February. Anybody watching this, if you're resonating, throughout February, I want you to talk to yourself just once a day, like 10 minutes, it doesn't even be even 10 minutes, 2 minutes. Just check in. How are you? How are you feeling? Talk to your inner child like you're speaking to a child. What's going on? What emotions are coming up? Where you're feeling them in your body? Literally speak to your inner child like you would speak to an external child and see how slowed down, how much more connected to yourself you feel. And that's what I mean about slowing down. It's not physically slowing down things you're doing. Slow down inside, talk to yourself a little bit more, reconnect.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And I definitely want to say also humor.
Yes, joy. I love that.
Joy, humor. I mean, if I'm in those spaces, I'm working through the process, but also I want to look at the absurdity of it. I want to look at the hilarity of it once I moved its way through, because that allows me to make it, integratable, allows me to move forward in ways that I never thought would be possible before because
Yeah.
it opens up different doorways. But yeah, I'm using humor a lot.
No, and like I mentioned before, I think I'm reconnecting back with humor in my own way, and I am also experiencing it more than usual in different ways. And just really enjoying the frequency that it brings and the way it can almost pick up what you're worrying about and take it away with it. Like the humor might not stay, like you might not stay laughing forever for the next 5 hours, but that frequency comes in with the laughter and literally takes the worries and the stress. And when that laughter stops, it feels like it's taken the weight of what them stress feelings were feeling. And that really makes a huge difference. So huge point there, Z, is humor, laughter, joy. Use that to shift out of the loop, the dip, the frequency that you've dropped into.
Yep.
It's not all doom and gloom. I could have really sat in the doom and gloom of the disaster of this. There's a lot of weird, scary, freaky, anxious shit that could be going on, but I'm just like, you know what? It's all going to be good, and it's all for a divine purpose because I don't believe we're being punished. I believe we're being expanded, and to be expanded, we need to grow, and to grow, we need to be tested. To be tested, we need to go through dips.
Dips. Yes. All right, everybody. That was beautiful. Thank you, Anya.
That was, thank you, darling. I really enjoyed that. Lovely. And we'll see you all next week.
Absolutely. Bye.